Hello, colleagues. I will discuss now how students' own questions can be used for developing their intellectual and cognitive activity. Next, please. Me and my co-author, Vadim Karastelev, are glad to take part again in the TA Teachers Conference. We believe that in our complicated and unpredictable world, it's necessary to pose questions and to discuss them. So we develop methods of posing and transformating questions. Next. It is called the interactive question method. The essence of this method in education is to initiate students to ask questions about the educational content and organize discussions of these questions to make them deeper and more meaningful. Next. This work was first presented in 2017 at the annual meeting of the International Society for System Studies. Next, please. We base our understanding of thinking on Robert George Collingwood's idea that thinking has a question and answer nature. Questions and the judgments answering them should be considered as equal and interdependent. A judgment separated from the question it answers doesn't express the thought. It is only a trace of thought. Continuing this idea, we believe that a text expressing thinking, scientific or educational, represents answers to certain questions, or maybe to a system of questions. And even if these questions are not explicated in the text, we can reconstruct it. And in this case, we can understand the thought behind this text. Next, please. But there is no a place for students' questions in modern school and in modern university often. Students have too few opportunities to pose questions and even to reconstruct the questions behind the knowledge they must acquire. In our view, students' own questions can motivate them to acquire new content, deepen their understanding of educational courses, provide opportunities for new forms of assessment and self-assessment, and help relate educational material to students' practical interests. The last is very important for university students. To achieve this, new forms of educational communication need to be created, both between teachers and students and the students themselves. Next. There are many authors now working on the problem of posing own questions and improving questions, interesting questions and practices of their posing and use grew throughout the 20th century. Methods of working with questions were developed both for solving professional tasks and for interdisciplinary problems and even for the self-organization in own lives. What is the specificity of interactive question among these practices? The main features of interactive questioning are: first, it is necessary to communicate about questions, to share questions with others, to communicate about them, and even it is necessary to collaborate improving questions, making them more deeper, actual, and so on. Second, we use some schemes to group questions, such as question maps, question trees. We can suppose to place questions on a timeline and so on. And we assign various roles and positions in the questioning. So sometimes the communication about questions is like a role game, when the participants take some roles and pose questions from the name of several persons. Next, please. We have developed a framework for question and answer analysis of educational texts using the method of interactive questioning. It includes 4 steps: familiarization with educational material, reading texts, watching videos, analyzing schemes, and so on. Second, reconstruction of the questions that this material answers. Sometimes we formulate this as the reconstruction of authors' questions. The questions which author wanted to answer. but it isn't not every time. Third, return. Third step is returning to the educational material and finding there the most accurate answers to the posed questions. And then fourth step is posing own questions on the discussed topic or problem, that questions that have no answers in the educational material which was analyzed. Next, please. Such work with the texts, with the educational material, can be carried out by students individually or in small groups. Group work is more effective because of the communication between students. Then this work can be supplemented with various techniques for working with the questions posed both in the second and in the fourth steps. Grouping questions, transforming open questions into closed and vice versa. Ranking questions by importance, and so on. It can also be supplemented with opposing and discussing the problem to which this material is dedicated. Usually after such work with the material, the understanding of the problem behind it becomes more deeper and more personally significant. Next, please. Using this framework, we proposed a new format for an innovative semester exam for master students of the Moscow City Pedagogical University. During the preparation and at the exam itself, they had to formulate what key questions the courses of the previous semester answered, what answers were given, and what questions on the covered topics remain for the students without answers, and what questions from them are most actual from the point of view of their practice. The methodology for conducting the exam can be found in this presentation in the section additional materials, and this text is also attached to the board. Next. There's a variant of the question answer analysis of the educational materials is the knowledge snail. This idea forms the basis of, sorry, the idea of question answer analysis forms the basis of the knowledge snail method proposed by Irina Vlasova, a history teacher from Sverdlovsk region. The idea is that students firstly compress the educational material into a set of questions they pose during group work, during analyzing this material. And then during a review, answering these questions individually, they unfold their knowledge. This work increases learning motivation and improves understanding of the educational content. Experience of using the knowledge snail in a history lesson in the 10th grade can be found in the text question and answer analysis of educational materials attached to the board and in the additional materials also. Next, please. We spoke previously about own students' questions, but during learning, students has to answer a lot of questions posed by others. Teachers' questions, questions from textbooks, questions for the exams, tests, and so on. We found that the experience of working with their own questions and the techniques we developed can be used for a deep understanding of others' questions and better responses to them. Similarly, others' questions can be grouped into meaningful clusters, ranked. It is possible to establish general specific relationships between questions. It is possible to transform open questions into closed ones and vice versa, and so on. And such work helps students to understand questions better and to prepare for answering them. You can see an example of such work in the text preparing for an exam using interactive question techniques in additional materials and in attach to this board. Next, please. So here you can see our contacts. Thank you for your attention. That's all.